Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana, and I am so excited to be celebrating 10 years of meaningful conversations with you. As we step into our new primetime hour, it's such an honor to share this exciting new chapter with you. So whether you're starting your day out, headed to work, or listening from wherever you are, this hour is designed to bring you thoughtful dialogue, fresh insight, and inspiring stories so you can make every moment count. So thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive in with our first guest. We're here today with special guests, Andie Ewing and Deborah Johns, and they're here to share with us the nonprofit Unbound. What if the key to ending poverty was rooted in empowering families to transform their own futures? Would you want to know about that? I know I definitely do. Well, we're in for an empowering discussion with Andie Ewing, Chief Operating Officer, and Deborah Johns, Chief Growth Officer at Unbound, who partners with families directly living in poverty worldwide, empowering them to become self-sufficient and fulfilling their desired potential. So welcome to the show, Andie Ewing and Deborah Johns.
Thank you so much for having us. Unbound is an incredible nonprofit. We're an international development organization that's been around for 45 years. We work in impoverished communities throughout Africa, Asia, and Latin America, and our work spans across 16 countries. We work directly with children, with families, with youth, elders, and entire communities to support them on their self-directed paths out of poverty. One of the things that makes Unbound unique is that we provide direct cash transfers to the families that we serve. We're the only child sponsorship organization that does that. And so oftentimes when families join into our programs, for the first time ever, they're opening up their very first bank account or mobile money account where they receive direct cash transfers, really empowering them to dictate how best to chart their path towards alleviating poverty at the household level. And so annually, we send more than $100 million in direct cash transfers to the families that we serve.
Yeah, and I would just chime in. Sort of the way I describe it is we focus on working with mothers in the 16 different countries we're in. We kind of help them find their inner leader and their inner voice to overcome those challenges that come with poverty. And it's not a one-size-fits-all. Every individual family has a unique experience. How we do it's not a handout. It's we work with a program called Poverty Stoplight that Deborah mentioned, and it's very goal focused, using SMART setting goals. I literally just got back from Kenya less than a week ago, and we visited 8 families in their home. And for each one of those families, they all had a different life map. So we were able to see on their life maps the different areas where they need to focus. And just like in a lot of companies where they use red, yellow, green for goal setting, that's what they do for their life maps. And we were able to see in all 8 families where they had red, and it went from red to yellow, or even red to all the way to green in the SMART goals that they had set for themselves. Just one little nugget. Using the Poverty Stoplight methodologies, our families have logged more than 1.3 million recorded achievements, meaning that they have moved from red or yellow to green.
Well, that is quite an accomplishment. And so it has me kind of thinking, how does your organization connect individual donors with families working to overcome poverty around the world?
So we offer a practical way for our sponsors, donors, and volunteers to make that personal and direct impact. We call them partners in our global community of compassion. And primarily that's done through sponsorship. So a family in the United States may decide that they want to sponsor a child or an elder living in poverty in one of the communities that we work with. And so what they do is they send a monthly donation, and in exchange, they receive pictures and updates from their sponsored friend, and they're actually able to build a relationship with that sponsored friend. It's really encouraging because when you're getting to know your sponsored friend, you're also getting to see how they're progressing out of poverty. You get picture updates, watching a child grow up, and really getting to know the family at a personal level.
Well, I would just say, I mean, we would do work with a lot of churches, but there's a lot of opportunities outside of church as well to get involved with us. One thing I think that we do that's very unique to a lot of other organizations is we actually take our sponsors to go meet their friends on either sponsor trips, or we offer individual trips where you can go, if you're going to Colombia, you can actually work with us and we will schedule some time for you to meet your sponsored friend. So it is very personal.
Such a rewarding experience too. Just getting to meet the person that you're supporting and sponsoring. It just makes it all real. And I've had a chance to meet my sponsored friend. I know Andie's had a chance to meet her sponsored friend too. And just getting to see firsthand how your support is making a difference is one of the most rewarding experiences.
Well, I found it so fascinating how Unbound is working in so many countries. How do these partnerships work at the community level?
So essentially how our program works, again, I just got back from Kenya, so I am like a little bit on a high. So we essentially, when I mentioned earlier that we're creating like their inner leader and their inner voice, once a family is sponsored, the mother gets invited into what we call our mothers groups. And these mother groups are made up anywhere between like 10 to 20 moms per group. So let's talk Nairobi, for instance. Let's say, I'm making these numbers up a little bit, but let's say there's 1,000 families sponsored in one community. For all those 1,000, they're broke down between those smaller groups, right? And then within the larger group, there are chairwomen for different things. So there will be a chairwoman for education, for health, for community services, etc. So let's say there's like 7 to 10 chairwomen per community. And then each of the groups sort of have representatives that meet on those different topics as well. So you're really establishing like a organizational structure that is giving women the opportunity to be in leadership roles and guide change. So it's not Unbound driving these changes. It is our mothers. We're just giving them the platform to be able to do that. They do have social workers that work with them, but at the end of the day, it is our mothers that are identifying what needs to happen to drive change and then putting together business cases and project plans and execution plans to make it happen. And we're just there to support them.
Really, what Andie is describing is it's called our circles of impact. So we're creating a ripple impact where it starts at the household level, and then we bring the mothers together, and then they're working at really the social support system level, and they're driving community change. And we believe that as we're doing that from community to community and country to country, it really will create a change in the greater society. So it's called our circles of impact.
I love that. What a difference that is making. And it's interesting. So many people, when they think of charity, they kind of maybe assess that with like short term aid. How does Unbound help families long term and for them to be self sufficient?
Well, we're definitely in it for the long haul. We have boots on the ground, so we don't kind of parachute in and leave. We have 1,500 staff that are working internationally in the communities that we're serving, walking alongside children, families, youth, and elders, and really providing that ongoing support so they can really chart their path out of poverty. So like Andie mentioned earlier, it starts with once somebody joins our program, they take that first initial poverty stoplight assessment. And what that allows them to do is to really get a snapshot of their own unique level of poverty. And we know that poverty looks very, very different from country to country, from community to community, but even from household to household. So two next door neighbors could be living in the same community with the same challenges, but yet experience poverty very differently. So for example, one household may find that they have a dilapidated roof. And so as a result, anytime it rains, everything in their home gets absolutely drenched. Their family is getting sick and they can't stay warm, right? So they may prioritize fixing their roof, of course, right? Whereas their next door neighbor, for example, may have some severe health challenge for somebody in their family where their biggest priority is making sure that that family member is getting medical attention, they have access to prescription and treatment and things of that nature. And so how they chart their path out of poverty may look really, really different. And so as a result, when we look at the poverty stoplight, what we're doing is we're giving everybody kind of that unique snapshot into their own unique level of poverty. And it's really our staff on the ground that's helping them kind of set and prioritize what their goals are for the first year, for the second year, for the third year, and so on and so forth. So we're there for the long haul, making sure that all of those red and yellow indicators that suggest that that family is living in extreme poverty or some kind of poverty situation, that those indicators are moving towards green so that family can be really free from the grips of poverty. And then at the same time, working at that community level to, as those mothers that Andie was referencing before, are getting their own sense of empowerment, having capacity building, access to savings, and really seeing that transition at their own household, they're starting to look beyond to see, okay, what does the greater community need? Maybe we don't have access to clean water. Maybe there is a road that is preventing everybody from getting to the market and it's causing challenges there. So they'll look at some of those community factors to make sure that they're able to start solving for that. So the entire community is uplifted as a result. And so with that in mind, our staff is really there for the long haul, making sure that that greater ripple effect is taking place. We've been around for 45 years and we've been in these communities for a long time, making sure that transformation is taking place and possible.
Earlier, you mentioned that sponsors can exchange letters and go on and visit the people that they're supporting. How does this personal connection change the experience for both the donor and the family?
What's the best?
Well,
I was just going to say, I got a letter from my sponsored friend last week, and it was so encouraging because so she had a birthday last fall, and I ended up giving her just a little extra birthday gift. And the amount was probably equivalent to what you would spend eating out for the night, right? So nothing super sizable. I got this letter last week and it gave me just kind of an update of how our family is doing. And I saw these two pictures, and the picture showed the construction of a new shower and a bathroom in her house. That's what she used that money to do, to actually like create a bathroom and a shower in her household. She hadn't had them before. And it's just incredible to see how such a little bit of money can go so far in these communities. A little bit goes so far. Even just to recognize that she hadn't had those things before, not even having a restroom in your house, not having running water, not being able to bathe yourself, just basic things for human dignity, for health, for all of that. It breaks my heart recognizing that she and so many others like her didn't have access to that. But it is the most rewarding thing to know that you can make that level of transformation possible in the lives of somebody. And so for me personally, it's given such a sense of fulfillment. It's not just like I'm throwing money into kind of an empty hole. I know exactly where it's going and I know exactly how it's being used. And it's been really meaningful in that regard just to see the transformation. For me, also, it's also felt really empowering. I think sometimes when we turn on the news, we can be bombarded by a lot of headlines that can leave us sometimes feeling a little bit helpless, just about some of the issues and problems in the world, but recognizing that, maybe I can't solve all of those things, but I can make a difference in my sponsored friend's life has been personally very rewarding for me. And I know Andie's gotten to travel with sponsors quite a bit this month too. So I'm curious to hear your responses as well.
So I have a quote that I'm kind of leaning into for the year for my team and for the organization as we focus really strongly on our mission work, but also ensuring that our sponsors are cared for as well. And so I'll read the quote and then I'll kind of tell you from there. So my quote is, in a world often clouded by chaos and darkness, our sponsors remind us that light and goodness still prevail, revealed by their generosity, compassion, and unwavering hope. And to put that into words, as we have sponsors who they make the sponsorship and Unbound a huge priority in their life. On this last trip that I just got back from, we had a few husbands who had lost their wives, and part of their marriage was sponsoring someone through Unbound and traveling to meet their sponsored friends together. And I had just coincidentally two husbands on this trip that this was their first Unbound trip without their wives. And so they were going through the grief emotions as they were meeting their sponsored child that was going to be graduating soon. Then secondly, we had another couple who they were celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. Can you imagine? They could have gone to Fiji, they could have gone to Hawaii, and they chose to come on an Unbound trip to celebrate their 50th anniversary and meeting their sponsored child. And then we have another sponsor who, this might have been their very last trip because they're dealing with some really tough medical issues. And this is how they chose to spend their short time left on earth here. So, sorry, I get emotional. So when I think about our sponsors, they inspire me, sometimes just as much as our mothers do. Just the pure generosity that they have. And I think that if you ask them after going on a trip and seeing what our mothers are overcoming day in, day out, and seeing them, be more innovative than, I don't know, I spend in a day, they get done, or in a month, they get done in a day. It's inspiring. And it makes you come back to, to the world that we live in and say, well, geez, if I have a mother in Kenya that can figure out how to get a bridge built amongst all of the challenges involved with the government and lack of resources, then man, what challenge do I have that compares to that? I can do anything. You feel very inspired when you come home from these trips. But equally, the sponsors are just as inspiring.
It sounds like a very rewarding trip for everybody, and the level of compassion and love that's given by the sponsors, by your group, and the people that are there. What a profound experience that is.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't put words to it.
I'd love for you to share with us about your education and scholarships that you have as well.
Yeah. So our program was really founded on the basis of being able to provide education, like that primary education. That's really what sponsorship was sort of rooted in. So you sponsor a child, and that child can stay in school, and the longer people stay in school, the easier it is to break those chains of poverty. And so sponsorship definitely addresses that primary education, but as time went on, there was a gap identified, and that was that secondary education. And what's really cool about our scholarship program is it's not always just for a child in the program. It could be a parent that has identified on their life map that they want to get some education. And so parents sometimes take these scholarships as well, which is just, when you're thinking about the change and transformation, it's huge. So we have opportunities to partner with us on our scholarship program, where you can just set up reoccurring for as low as $20 a month. And that can make a huge difference in the lives of the families we serve.
So, what are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have about global poverty or international sponsorship programs?
So I've only been at Unbound for going on 4 years, and I never worked in international development. I worked in a corporate office role. But in my last couple years in a corporate role, I was given the opportunity to lead global care, where I started to get to see the Philippines and Latin America, et cetera, from a different lens, being in the corporate space. And so I can tell you, 4+ years ago, if you would have asked me, can you make a difference sponsoring one child at a time? I'm not sure I would feel the way I feel today. I felt before it was overwhelming. You hear the stats, you hear the numbers, you see pictures, but you haven't seen it with your own eyes. And it does feel overwhelming. Today, now that I've worked in this space and I've seen, like, what I tell my colleagues is, working in my previous role, I saw poverty from the highway, and now I see what's behind the walls. Seeing behind the walls, I see how one sponsorship, it creates an opportunity for one mother to become a leader that then overcomes one challenge at a time. And instead of like looking at poverty as eating the entire cake at once, you start seeing how just taking one bite at a time makes a difference. And it's a whole different perspective. I guess if I were to tell someone, or myself even 4.5 years ago, how to view it is, look at it as investing in one mother at a time that can then drive one change at a time. And we can overcome these challenges. I would even go as far as to say we're driving a whole new generation of leaders, not just through the mothers, but through the children that are in our program as well. And we're seeing that. We have several children that have gone through our program that work for Unbound as social workers, as accountants. We have contact centers in a couple different countries that employs our formerly sponsored children. And so if you can't see it, like the big picture, like just think about how they've now turned into employees of real jobs, I guess.
It's just remarkable. Do you ever have sponsors? Because I know on your website you have listing of different individuals, children, and some elders. Do you ever get where someone will want to sponsor an entire family?
Yeah, we do. It's That's not our model. Our model is really sponsoring one child, and then that sponsoring that one child is truly sponsoring the entire family. That the whole family is getting the benefit of being in the Unbound program.
Well, that's good to know. There's so many smiling faces there that definitely need help. So, where can people go for more information and to learn about Unbound?
I think the best starting spot, if somebody wants to learn more about Unbound, is to simply go to our website. It's unbound.org. What you'll find there is we have news and stories. I would encourage anybody to take a look at some of the recently published articles. It's a great place just to learn a little bit more about the impact that's happening just across the world in our different programs and even at the family level. But also, there's an opportunity to actually see the existing children and elders who are waiting to be sponsored. And it is a great way to just get a better sense of what their lives are like. So what you can do is you can search by which country they live in if you have a specific interest in a different region of the world. You can also search by their birth date. And so, for example, we've talked to a lot of parents who maybe they want to find a sponsored child that has the same age as one of their own children so they can start developing a pen pal relationship that way. So you can actually find a sponsored child with the same birthday as your own child, or maybe you have another date in mind that is just special to you, like an anniversary date or something along those lines. But when you click on those profiles, you can read a little bit more about that child or that elder and their family and their situation. And it's a great just starting point to get to know who some of these sponsored friends are that are awaiting a sponsor.
And so for those folks, they've sponsored a child and they want to take a trip. How does that look?
Every year we publish all of the countries that we're going to be visiting, and they can just go on our website and sign up for a trip. And they don't have to be a sponsor, by the way, to take a trip with us. If somebody is interested in learning more about us and they would like to take a trip, they can absolutely sign up on our website, and one of our team members will call them, share the information, and just get them all signed up.
Well, how exciting is that? And where can people go to learn more information?
Just unbound.org.
Well, Andie and Deborah, thank you both so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you so much for having us and letting us talk about our passion and what we love doing.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Andie and Deborah. It has been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about the wonderful work you're doing at Unbound. To learn more about how to donate your time, money, or expertise, visit unbound.org for more information. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You're listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.